Hello friends, welcome to Nigra Techies. This is our ASP.NET Core tutorial. So part of this video, I am going to create one real-time application. The application is Sales Order API. The same service you can utilize for this point of sale application also after applying some customization. For this development, I am going to use completely Visual Studio Code. If you are using Visual Studio 2022 also, the application creation and debugging only different. Other than that, the steps are almost similar. So let me create my application. So in the command prompt, we have the command for creating this application. .NET new, and our application is web API. That's fine. So basically this command prompt will create the application. Okay, great. The application is created. Now let me open the application using Visual Studio Code. So I created in the folder of Sales Order API. Let me run the application. We can see the basic output. In the terminal, we have the command is called .NET run. Okay, our application is running. The port number is 7118. So in the output, we can see the default controller name and also the method name. So now we can start our development. So before going to the implementation, let me explain my database structure. So in the database, I am having the tables are the category, customer, product, role, sales order header, sales product information, and user. So basically this user for login purpose, and for role-based authentication I am using this role. And these two tables are very important one. First one is the sales header and another one is the sales product information. The first table is table sales header. Basically it will store the summary of the invoice. It include the customer information. And the second one is product information. So it will store the product information. The single invoice may have more than one products. That information we supposed to store in this table. So other tables are just a master table. For getting the product information, we have a product, and the customer, we have the customer table. This category we are mapping into the product table. That's what we have created one table. So now let me go to the application. Here I am going to install this entity framework because connecting to the databases I am going to use this entity framework only. So just to press Ctrl Shift P, so it will open this tab. So here you're supposed to select this new get package manager add package. Okay, it will open the windows like this. The first thing is you have to install entity framework. Select this entity framework core, and the version you have to choose this 6 and follow the same step. The next one is design. So design is included, and the third one is SQL Server. So SQL Server also got installed. The final one is tools. Okay, great. The packages are gets included. Now we need to restore everything. So let me use the command is .NET restore. Okay, the packages are restored. Now we have to generate our database models using this Scaffold command. So the command structure is first .NET Entity Framework, then dbcontext Scaffold. So then you have to provide your connection string. So once it's done, you have to provide the provider name, Microsoft.EntityFrameworkCore.SqlServer, and the output path where the output supposed to generate the models folder. Even we don't have this model folder, it will generate the model folder basically. So let me execute the command. So the build gets started. Okay, great. The model is generated, but it's giving the warning. We need to move the connection string into app settings. That's what the warning is saying. So let me go to the folder. Here we have the database context sales underscore db context. So what are the tables we have? The tables are it's just included here. So based on the tables, we have the individual models also. So in the DB context, we are having this connection string. We supposed to move into app settings.json. So let me create the section for the connection string. The steps actually we already seen in the more videos. So again, I am following the same step only. Okay, great, it's added. And also let me remove this section, it's not required. And the second step is we have to include in our program.cs file. Here I am going to use some namespaces. Sales order API.models and using Entity Framework Core, Microsoft.EntityFrameworkCore. And now let me register the database context here. So builder.services dot add db context. So our database context name is sales underscore db. So options dot use SQL server. So here we supposed to pass our connection string. So the connection string is already available in the app settings.json. So let me access it. So builder dot configuration dot get connection string of. We need to provide our connection string name. That's it. Now this is fine. Hereafter we can inject this database context in our controller and we can use it. So now I am going to create my first controller. The controller name is customer. First I am creating the services for the customer, one of the master service. After that we can implement for our invoice. So let me copy the same content from here and we can replace it based on our requirement. So instead of this weather forecast, I am going to give the customer. And the constructor side also I'm going to change. So I am not going to use this logger option, so we can use little later. So I plan to cover in another video. And also this private section is not required. Let me remove this get all method also. So it's saying the already contains definition. So actually we need to restart our Omnisha. That's it. Now we have to check our database connectivity. So let me inject the database context here and we can verify whether it's working or not. Sales underscore db context. So actually we need to include the namespace using sales order API.models. Okay, fine. So let me inject here. So this dot database context equal to. Okay, we have done. Now let me create one get all method. So I'm going to use this asynchronous programming also. So the attribute routing also I'm going to provide the same name get all. Here I'm just returning table customer dot dot to list asynchronous. So the asynchronous is not coming. Why? Because we need to include one more namespace using Microsoft.EntityFrameworkCore. That's it. It's coming, and also this one. Wait. Okay, actually we are returning the list of the records, so let me include that also. That's fine. Okay, now our error got resolved. So let me run the application and we can verify whether this connectivity is working or not. Okay, great, application is running. So let me refresh it. So here you see the new controller customer is added, and also we have the one more method getter. So let me execute it. So I'm getting one customer name. I hope we have only one record in that table. That's what I'm getting like this. So let me verify it. Yes. So this is working fine. And very important thing is we cannot call this database directly in the controller. This is not a standard way. So instead of that, I'm going to create one container. So let me stop the application. Going to create one new folder is called container. So in the container, I'm going to create my first container is customer container. Public class container. That's it. So here only I am going to follow the same steps for doing the connectivity for and everything. So let me create one constructor here for doing this dependency injection, and now I can copy the same database injection and I have to include here, and also I need to inject it. And the namespace also missing using sales order ap.models. Okay, this is fine. Finally, I have to set the values like this. Okay, this is fine. Now let me create the function. List of table customer get all. So as I mentioned, this is the synchronous programming I'm going to use. So I have to follow the steps same. And this asynchronous, we have to include one more namespace. Hope we all know we need to include this Microsoft.EntityFrameworkCore. That's it. Okay, now the function is ready. And for doing the dependency injection, we supposed to have one interface also. So let me create the interface also. So the interface name is iCustomerInterface.cs. Public interface. So here also I need to include the namespaces. Okay, fine. I just copied the declaration and I included here. So now let me implement the interface here. So basically we have to define our interfaces. After that only we supposed to implement here. For doing the first one, I just did the reverse order. That's it. customer container. Okay, this is done, and also we need to include in our program.cs file. For registering interface, basically we have the three ways. I am going to use this add transient. The first is interface name, customer container, and the implemented class. Okay, we have done it, so let me inject it. So in the controller, instead of this database context, I am going to inject this container class. Container. So let me replace the namings also. So get all, that's it. Okay, now we have implemented this container logic. So let me run the application once again. Okay, great, it's working fine. The next very important thing is we cannot use these model classes for any time. So in case, in some situation, we supposed to define some custom properties. So whenever the database changes happen, it automatically get changed. That means whatever we did in the customized manner, that changes are gets removed. So instead of that, we have to use the separate entity. So let me create one separate entity class. Entity, and my first class is customer entity. So the properties, basically we can reuse all the properties. If you have any custom changes, you just include it. So here the code, name, address, phone, email, these all are fine. But this create user, modify user, these properties are supposed to not required. And instead of this is active, we need a field name is status name. If is active is true, we supposed to give active. If it's false, we supposed to provide us the inactive. That's it. So we have created it, and also I'm going to change the return type in our controller customer entity, and we need to modify in the container also, and also the interfaces. So the next step is we have to map the data into the object of TBL customer into customer entity. So basically we can use this for each concept, but in this .NET Core we have the auto mapper, so we can use it. Where customer data equal to, so we are getting some data. Now what I'm going to do, if not equal to null and the count of more than 0, then I'm going to convert it. If it's not, I will just return the empty object. Basically in this place we need to use auto mapper. Okay. For using this auto mapper, the first thing is we have to install the packages. So let me go to the NuGet package manager, and here this auto mapper. So the first one we supposed to select, and we can use the latest version, that also fine. And let me restore it. So the registration also gets completed, and we have to create one handler. So in this handler I'm going to create one profile, mapping profile. So let me define the class is public. So in this class I'm going to use the namespaces using automapper. Now let me create one constructor. So here I am going to implement one class is called profile. So it's available in our automapper. Now let me add the create map. So in the create map side we have to configure our from and destination classes. So let me include one more namespace, the API.models. So our from class is table customer. Into our destination class name is the customer entity. Okay, we have added. So our next step is we have to register this mapping profile in our program.css. Bar auto mapper equal to. I hope, yeah, we need to include the namespace here also using auto mapper, and then we have to use this mapping configuration. Add profile of new mapping profile. And also I'm going to use this imapper interface. Finally, I have to include in the services. So here after I can inject in our controller and we can use the functionalities of this mapper. So let me inject it. Imapper private read only. Okay, again the namespace is missing. And also let me inject here imapper.mapper. So this dot mapper equal to mapper. That's it. Now what I'm going to do, this dot mapper dot map. So basically it's returning the list of data. So list of table customer into list of customer entity. And here we supposed to pass this data, customer data. Okay, this is fine. So let me return it. Here the idea is first we are fetching records from our table customers in the directly database. So here the class is table customers. I'm just checking whether we have the data or not. If it's don't have any data, I'm just returning an object. If we have an data, I'm just mapping into another class is class entity and I'm returning it. That's all about the concept. So this is done and let me verify it. Basically, these are the configuration related changes. That's what I'm doing step by step. If it's working fine for one controller, we are not going to worry about this configuration related thing. Instead of that, we can concentrate our logics. Okay, great. It's returning. So you can see, right, instead of returning all the columns, it's returning the minimal columns. Even the status name, it's just returning null. Basically, I supposed to return as the active or is active only. So that also possible from our mapping side. The concepts already I am explained in my previous video also. For that we have the option is form member. So using this form member option we have to do some our custom logics. So basically it contains two sections. The first one is for destination. So item dot status name. For the status name column I'm going to assign the value from again item dot map from yes dot. So here our field is active. Basically this is active is the boolean field, but we are assigning value into string. So based on the conditions, I'm just checking. If it's true, I'm going to provide the value as active. In case if it is not equal to true, then I have to provide inactive. Okay, great. So now we have done our changes. So let me run the application. Okay, the application is running. So let me verify once again. See now I am getting the status name value also. Okay, now we have completed only one method in our master services. Now I am moving to the very important part. That's all about our invoice controller. So let me start it from our container side. Here I'm going to create one new class is for invoice container. So the public class. Okay, this is fine. And we should use our namespaces. So the first namespace is sales order API dot models, and also we need to use the mapper, and the final one is Microsoft.EntityFrameworkCore. Okay, we have done it. The similar way I'm going to create the interface also. Public interface. Okay, great. Now let me define the declarations in our interfaces. The first method is for get all invoice header, and the entity should be invoice header. Actually I need to create it, it's not there. The first one is invoice header, that's CS. The similar way I'm going to create one more class, invoice detail. Okay, the two models are generated. Now we have to include the properties. So let me copy the existing models. So here also the create user, yeah, to create user, let me take it. The invoice header, the name, date, customer, tax up to the create date. It's fine included. The same way, I'm going to include this for our product information. This product information up to the total, it's enough. Okay, invoice header. The first method is declared, and the second method is header by code. This is for getting the individual invoice details. So it takes one input. The input is invoice number, and the third one is invoice detail by code. So it returns the multiple products for the particular invoice. So let me change this into list of invoice detail. And the third one is save method, and also at the end we should have one delete method also. So save, and the final one is remove. For the save invoice, we have to pass both header and detail also. So let me create one more model class for this one. So public class. The first one is invoice header. So this should be a header. And the similar way we have the next parameter is detail. But this should be a list. Okay, this is created, and also I'm going to create one more model is for the response type. So it contains two properties. The first one is a result, and the second one should be key value. So for if you are created the invoice, as of now I plan to pass the invoice number directly. In case in some logic will generate the invoice number, once it's generated it will return automatically, so we need to get the response. So that's what I'm going to create. One more property is key value. So let me make both the properties the nullable. Okay, done. Let me move on this container. So in the interface, the save method have, so invoice entity, and the response type also Our class name is response type. The same way I'm going to change this for our remove method also. So the remove method has the input is invoice number. That's fine. So let me format it. Now our idea is we have to implement these 5 methods. So let me go to the container class. So in the container class, let me implement this interface. And also we need to include in this program.cs file. So in the program.cs file, already we have included this customer container. The same way I'm going to include this invoice container also. Okay, it's showing the error because we need to implement these 5 methods here. So let me start from one by one. So first I'm taking this invoice header. So I'm planning to make in the synchronous way only. And we have to inject our database context. So let me take it from our customer container. And I need to inject like this. And also I need to set the values. So these are the very basic steps. And this getAll method is almost similar to our customer getAll method. So we can copy the content. Okay, just we have included. So instead of this table customer, we are getting the data from our table sales getter. Okay, data. If data not equal to null and its count is more than 0, then we have to use this mapper option. And also I need to return invoice header. For this conversion also I am going to use the table name is table sales header. Can be added, and this input also we need to pass this data. Okay, we done it. And also the very important thing is we need to include in our mapping profile also, otherwise it will create an error. So here our table name is table sales order header and also this invoice header. So in this case we have to do the reverse map also. The same way I'm going to create for our product information also. Okay, we have done for one method. The similar way I'm going to implement the second function. So this is the get by code function. Again the procedures are almost the same. So let me copy the content once again. So here we are going to take only one record. So let me use first our default asynchronous. Item dot invoice number double equal to our input is invoice number. And this is the single data, it's not having the collections value. This mapper also, the list is not required because we are doing the map for single object. Okay, we have done it. Finally, even if you don't have the data also, we need to return single object only. Okay, great. We have completed our second method. Now let me move on our third method. Get all invoice detail by code. So I am going to follow the steps same only. And let me copy the whole content once again. Here I am going to use the where condition. So here instead of this first or default, I am going to use the where because I will get more than one record. And the table also table sales product information. So let me convert into list. Okay, we have done. And now I am checking for this null, and also I am going to check for the count. For the conversion also, I am going to use the table sales product info into list of invoice detail. Okay, we have completed our third method. The fourth one is very important one, the same method. Here only we are going to include our most of the logics. And also I'm going to do the dummy declaration for our delete method also. Public asynchronous. For the save functionality, we have to interact with two tables. The first one is header and also detail. So let me create the individual functions for both header and detail. So for this one, let me create in the private method. Save header. So the invoice header. So result string dot empty. And let me return it. The same way I'm going to create one more private method for saving the details. Okay, we have created the dummy methods. So let's start our implementation here. So the first thing is I'm checking this invoice detail is null or empty. So if it's a else, we supposed to return as this error type. And the next step is I'm going to check if invoice entity dot invoice header dot header not equal to null. Here let me declare one string also. If invoice entity not equal to null, so let me begin this transaction. This dot underscore database context dot database dot begin transaction. So inside that, let me call the methods. So result equal to this dot save header. Here let me pass the input is invoice entry dot header. That's it. And we need to check the null. That's what it's saying. Not equal to null. So this is the first step. And the second if condition should be, first we need to check this result value not equal to null or empty, and also we need to check this invoice entity dot invoice detail, I mean the details, not equal to null, and invoice entity details dot count more than 0. If all the conditions are matched, here I am going to call our detail save method. So in the detail save method, basically I plan to return the boolean. So initially I am having the value as false. Okay, fine. And at the top of that, I am going to declare one more variable, process count 0. Now here I am going to generate the for loop. Here I am going to pass, so this dot save detail just item. If save result is true, then what I'm going to do, just incrementing this process count. So once the for loop gets completed, I'm going to check this invoice entry details dot count double equal to our process count. If everything is fine, so let me finish the operation. So this dot save changes of asynchronous. So if I'm using this asynchronous, I suppose to use this await also, and also I'm going to commit it. why the commit is not coming. So let me check. Yes, here also I need to use this await. Yes, it's coming. Okay, we have done. So once it's done, we have to create one more object where response equal to new response type of. So in the response type, the result should be pass and the result key value is our invoice number. Okay, we have done. So the else scenario, we just need to revert it. I mean, we need to do this rollback. And also for this response, either we should have not written anything or else we can give string.empty. That's it. So finally, we can return this response. So this is all about the concept. Now individually we have to implement both the same methods, the header and also the detail methods. So currently we have the value is invoice header. Here I am going to declare one object, table invoice header equal to this dot mapper dot map, and our input is our invoice header object, and we need to convert into our table invoice header, and the input should be invoice header. That's it. Okay, this is fine. So here first I'm going to check already we have the records or not for the particular invoice number. Var header equal to the same code we already used in our get by code. So let me copy it. So instead of this invoice number, I'm going to use invoice header dot invoice number. If it is already having the records, it's a just update scenario. Otherwise, we need to create the new record. So here the concept is already if you have a record, we just update it. If you don't have any record, we need to create a new record. That's all about the concept. And also what I'm going to do, I just create this try catch block, because if there is any error, we don't know what actually is happening here. So if we have this try catch, then we will know. That's it. First let me do the updation. So header dot customer ID equal to invoice header dot customer ID. So anyway, we have to give all the fields. The customer name, add the delivery address, total, remarks, tags, the total, modify date, and also the modify user. So the modified date should be today date. And the modify user should be our created user only. And the net total is net total. And the tags, we have the field is tags. Then remarks. And also total. Delivery address. And this customer name. For this add scenario, add asynchronous. Okay, this is done. So everything is done, we have to save it. So currently we are using this transaction rollback and commit. So in the main method will take care of all the things. So in the individual methods, we have to just pass the parameter. That's fine. Okay, great. We have done our save header method. The similar way I'm going to complete for these details. So let me copy the items from our header. Table product. So instead of header, it's a detail. So invoice detail and table sales product information. So now we have the complete detail information. So in this save method, basically we have only save. There is no update scenario because every time we are updating the invoice, user may remove some product also. The possibility. So in the header save time, I'm plan to remove all the products belongs to the particular invoice. So we can create the new records. That's all about the concept. So let me do it. Okay, once it's done, everything goes fine. I am plan to return true. And here also I'm going to use the try and catch block. Return or else throw the exception. That's it. Okay, we have done it. As I mentioned, I have to remove these detail records from our update side. Here what I'm going to do, first I need to get all the details. So that's what we already did in this place. So let me copy everything. So instead of this invoice number, so invoice header dot invoice number. So finally, what I'm going to do, So this dot underscore database context dot table and remove range of. So that's it. So now let me move on this delete scenario. So in the delete scenario also procedure is almost the same. First I have to remove the header, after that the detail. So anyway we have the code in handy. So let me do it. Already I am written for this detail delete. The similar way I have to do for our header also. So in the header we have the get by code method already. I'm just taking this one. Okay, instead of this mapping, so let me remove it. And here also I'm going to use the try and catch. If there is no error, so let me return it from here, the top of that. Here I'm going to provide the result equal to pass, and also the key value should be invoice number. Okay, great, we have done our changes. So let me stop and run once again. Okay, great, our application is running. So let me refresh it. Okay, actually we have completed everything from our container side, but we not included anything in our controller. So let me create the controller first. So our controller name is Invoice Controller. So let me copy the whole classes, add everything from our customer controller. So instead of this customer, I'm going to provide the name is invoice. And this I customer container, I'm going to provide I invoice container. And also I'm going to change this constructor name also. And this one is invoice header. Get all header. So the first method is fine. Now let me wait for the second method. Get all header by code. So let me change the naming also. Get all invoice header by code. And here we have one input invoice number. and it's returning a single object only, not a list. Okay, great. We have completed two methods. Now let me move on the third one. Get detail by code. So here the return type is invoice detail, and also it will return the list of records because we have more than one product for the single invoice. Okay, great. The next one is our save method. So in the save method, we supposed to pass the form body, and the input object is invoice entry, and our return type should be a response type. Save. Let me pass the parameter also. For this remove method, we have the single input, just invoice number only. So once we have done these changes, we can verify everything. Currently, we not implemented this. Okay, great. We have completed all the functionalities. Let me format everything. And also, I'm going to run this application, dotnet run. So in the database, let me format it, both the tables. Okay, application is running. So we can test all the methods one by one. So here, the first three methods are fine. All are get method only. But the fourth one should be the post method, and the fifth one should be the delete method. So let me change the HTTP verb also. HTTP post and also HTTP delete. Okay, now we are good to go. And let me refresh once again. Okay, it's all are changed. First, I'm going to check this get all header method. So currently we don't have any data. That's what it's returning, the empty array. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just to create my first invoice. Here the invoice number is INV001 and invoice date is fine. And this customer ID is supposed to get from our customer table. So this is my customer ID and the customer name Chris Matthew. So delivery address, let me keep it as empty as of now, and remark also empty. The total value should be 1100. Tax is 0, so the net total also 1100 only. Then the create user is admin user, and the create date is today date only. That's fine. In the detail section, the invoice number, I'm going to use the same invoice number, and the product code I can get it from our product table P101. and my product name is cricket bat. The quantity is 1. The sales price should be 1000 and the total is 1000. I'm going to include one more product. So here the product code is 102 and also the bar. The amount should be 100 only. Quantity is 1 and the total also 100. So let me execute the function. So here I'm getting the responses. The results the result is pass and also I'm getting the key values is our invoice number. So let me check from the databases. So the database, the invoice header, I'm having all the details. The delivery address and remarks, I'm not provided any value. And the modification user and data, that also is null, that's fine. And the detail table, we have all the information. The only created date and modify user we not updated. Other than that, we have all the values. So that also we can manage. So the detail same method, before going to the save, we can update two values. So detail dot create date equal to date time dot now. And also the create user is we have to pass one more parameter is string user. Okay, we have done. So let me change this save detail method also. Actually we called in our main service. So in the header information we will have these informations like a create user. So let me pass from here. Okay, this is done. So let me run the application once again. Okay, great. Anyway, currently we have this invoice number. So let me create one more new invoice. So here I am going to include one more product. Here the product code should be 103 and the name is pad. So the amount is 250. So let me change the quantity as 2. So then value should be 500. In the total side I am going to provide 1600. Even the net total also same. Okay, let me execute once again. Okay, here also I'm getting the positive response only. So we can check from our database. Okay, currently we have created the two invoices. Now let me check the edit scenario. I'm having the same record. I'm going to remove one product. Okay, and also the remarks I'm going to provide a removed bug. So this is the command and the amounts also varied 500 only. So let me execute it. So again I'm getting the positive response only. See now currently I'm having only two products for this invoice 002 and here also the totals it's updated, also the invoice number 2. So we can see the remarks also gets updated and we can see this modify user and also modification date. So this is all about the same method. So the same way, so now let me execute this get all method for this header. So expected result should be we have two records. So yes, we can see the both the invoices. And now let me execute this get by code method. So I'm copying this invoice number. Okay, I supposed to get one record. Yes, I am able to get the complete information. Now let me move on our third function. This method basically returns the product information for the particular invoice. Okay, this invoice having the two products. Okay, we are got it. One is product 103 and another one is product 101. And if I'm providing one, okay, here also two records. The first one is P101, but the second one is P102. So now let me remove my one of the invoice. So I'm getting the positive response only. So let me check from the database. Hopefully both the tables the record should be deleted. But unfortunately it's not deleted. So let me verify it. I think I made some mistake here. Okay, I just removed the both the tables, but I'm not saved anything. That's what I'm getting this error. So let me complete this functionality. Where db connection, db transaction otherwise. So await and database dot begin transaction. So the begin transaction asynchronous function. So once all the removes are completed, we have to save it. So await save changes asynchronous, and also I need to commit it. Okay, we have done it. I hope it will work now. So let me execute it once again. So I'm getting the response is correct only. So let me check from databases. See now, the invoice 002 has been deleted in our summary table and also our product table. So I'm going to create one more invoice. So instead of 2, I'm going to provide 3, and this 1500 I'm going to just 1000, and also I'm going to remove one of the product from here. This should be 3. Okay, look like it should be created. Yeah, yes, because this invoice 003 have only one product. So this is all about my invoice services. So here I'm going to create two more services. One is for product and another one is for doing some changes in our customer services. So using this service I can get all the customers, but in the real-time application I supposed to take the individual customer information. So I need one get by method. So I need one get by code method. The similar way I'm having the product services. So in the product services, basically I need three services. One is returning all the products, and another one is returning the single product. The final one is returning the product based on the category code. The steps are almost the same. So let me complete from our customer side, because here we just created one method. So it should have one input parameter. I think I am not included in our interfaces. And this mapper also, the list is not required. So because we are returning the single object only. Okay, we have done it. Hopefully our get by code method is ready. So let me apply the changes in our controller side also. Okay, this is done. Now let me create one more container for our product one. The first one is interface. And also I'm going to include the required namespaces. And I need to do the declarations. And also I need to create the entity classes. Product entity. So the public class. And I'm going to the model. So let me copy all the properties. So here just 4 properties. I'm going to include the 4. Now in our container section, I'm going to change the class name. That's it. Here I'm going to include one more function, get by category. So these are the methods. So let me format it. And also I need to create the implementation class. So that's our actual container class. So here also we can follow the same steps in our customer container. I need to implement this I product container. So it takes the 3 methods. So this dependency injection and methods. So everything, let me copy it from our customer controller. So here we just need to change the names, that's it. Other than that it will work fine. The first one is this product entity, and also the table name should be table products. So this object name, that also it's fine only. And here table product product entity. And the second one is get by code. Here also I am going to do the changes, that's it. Okay, this is done. And the final one is we have to create one more method, get category by code. Here I supposed to return the list only. Get by category, so I need to get the name. So here I'm going to use the where item dot category code equal to our category. Finally I need to convert into to list. And this mapper side also I'm going to include this list. So we have done it. So in the product basically we are not going to do this CRUD operation. So whatever methods is required for creating one invoice, so that's what we generated. Okay, still it's saying get by category not implemented. So let me check. So it's returning list only, and get by category, that's fine. And then why it's still showing an error? Okay, actually it's returning the list only. Let me change it. Okay, now we are good to go. And also I need to include in our singleton. I product container. It's going to implement this product container. That's it. Control C again .NET run. So see now we are able to see our customer. So the customer, the get by code method also gets included, but this product is not showing. I think I am not created the controller. So let me take this code. So if I'm providing the customer, I am able to get the customer information. So if I'm providing the wrong customer name, so I'm getting the just null value. Okay, and let me create the product controller also. Yes, I am completed this container side, but I'm not created the controller. So let me copy everything from our customer controller. Here the first thing is, this is the product controller, and the interface is also product container, and this constructor also, and again the second interface. So the dependency part we have done. The next one is entity. So product entity, the same way again it should be a product entity, and the final one is get product by category. That also I need to implement. Get by category. So integer get by category, and it's going to return the list of records. Let me change the routing name also. Hope this is done. Okay, application is running. So let me refresh once again. Okay, see in the product controller we have these three methods. The first one, it will return all the products. Okay, the conversion in this auto mapper I am not included. Okay, let me do it. Actually I just forget it for doing it faster. So table product into our product entity. Okay, this is fine. So let me run it once again. I hope this is our last run. It will work fine. Okay, fine. It's returning the products. And the next one is get by code. Okay, fine. And the final one is get by category. So if I'm providing the category ID only means, so it will return all the products. If I'm providing true, so it's not going to return anything. So let me directly change it from our databases. So instead of 1, I'm going to provide true. So now let me verify once again. So now it's returning the 1 record. Even if I'm providing the category ID is 1, now if I'm providing the category ID is 1, so it will return 2 records. So this is all about the services. So totally we have the 3 controllers. The 3 controller, the invoice is main one. We have all the methods. And this customer and the product, we are just having this what is called our get methods only. For doing the authentications for everything already I'm covered in my previous videos. You just refer it. And there are 2 things I'm not yet covered. The first one is handling this lag, and also one more thing, how to debug from our Visual Studio Code. These 2 topics as of now I'm not covered. I'm planning to cover on my upcoming videos. Still, if you have any doubts or clarifications, please post in the comment box. And also please don't forget to subscribe my channel. So if you really want support our channel for doing the encourage, you have to join our membership. Thank you. Thanks for watching our video.